Hello, friends. Welcome to the Great Things LLC podcast with your host, me, Josh Meter. In today's episode, we speak with Glenn Hairston of SpecializedDefensiveTraining.com. I think you'll find this exciting and enlightening. I'm talking with Glenn Hairston. Glenn and I met a few years ago and actually didn't realize our common connection. We had a Tai Chi course at the Center of Harmony for a while, and that was my first introduction to Tai Chi. We had an excellent instructor, and fast forward a few years after that class was done, I met Glenn and realized that was one of your students that was actually teaching up at the center. So Glenn and I had the opportunity to meet, and Glenn has a fantastic story. Glenn's been in law enforcement, in military, in civil service, and a whole bunch of different jobs, and also in Hollywood. And his passion is martial Tai Chi, and he has some DVDs and some videos that have gone worldwide. But Glenn, you just want to welcome you, and thanks for coming on today.
Thank you, Josh. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. So why don't we start a little bit, Glenn? You have such a fascinating background. So if you could kind of give the listeners a little bit of peek into some of the things that you've done and how you got to where you're at today, and then we'll jump into a little bit about your martial Tai Chi.
Okay, that's kind of a vast question there, but well, as far as my professional experience, I'm in law enforcement and have been for several decades, working in federal sector and also the local sector law enforcement. Done executive protection, corporate security, many things in the security field. I'm a certified security specialist, personal protection specialist. Currently, I'm a detective and have been for some time. And that's pretty much my work history. Much more beyond that, just the myriad of jobs you have after high school and so forth, worked in a hospital and radiology and so forth before entering these other fields in law enforcement. But that's pretty much.
So your law enforcement background, you've dealt with a lot of people in a lot of different situations. And handling yourself not only emotionally but physically is a pretty important part of that job.
Yes. That's where it comes into training, staying fit, having a martial background. Definitely helps, not only in terms of being able to protect yourself and affect an arrest, but also in terms of the individual that you're trying to apprehend. You don't want to be overly aggressive and do a lot of harm to that individual too. So with good training, it allows you to safely apprehend someone, and everyone gets to go home.
Great. And that's one of the things I find really interesting about you personally, Glenn, with your background in such a strong physical and commanding presence, is your gentle nature. I really appreciate that about you. What the subject is here today, which is Tai Chi and martial Tai Chi and the applications of it. So how did you get started or discover Tai Chi?
Oh, good question. Before I answer that, just let me maybe make one little point. The term martial Tai Chi has become a thing. Basically, there is no martial Tai Chi. There's only one kind of Tai Chi, and that's Tai Chi Chuan. That's all there is. A lot of people say that they study Tai Chi for its health benefits or health purposes. Some people say for meditation, stress reduction, just a ton of different reasons to study Tai Chi. Many people say, I don't study the martial aspect, I just study it for health. But there's only one Tai Chi. And you can't dissect the martial out of it because it's a martial art. It's Tai Chi Chuan. Chuan means fist or boxing. And that's why when you do the form, there's kicks in the form, there's punches in the form, there's throws in the form, there's joint locks in the form. Whether or not people realize that that's what they're doing when they do the form, they're doing a martial art, or they should be doing a martial art. if you're not doing it as a martial art, you're really not getting the full benefits out of it. But we can talk about that a little bit later. But to answer your question, how did I get involved in Tai Chi? I've been in martial arts since I was 4 years old. A variety of martial systems and so forth. One day back in the early 70s, I was at the library, to be exact, the University of Pittsburgh, and I picked up one of their university magazines, and I just happened to notice this little ad in the back stating about a Tai Chi class. I knew very little about Tai Chi. I knew about as much as probably most people generally would know, the pictures of or videos of people moving slowly and all of that kind of thing. So I figured, hey, this is about a 30-minute walk from where I'm at. So, and it starts in about 30 minutes. So I figured I'd walk over and see. And that's where I met my first Tai Chi master, Master Yung-Ko-Chou. I walked into this building, which was a theater at the time. I saw several people down on the floor. I'm sitting in sort of a circle bleacher style seating, looking down, and they're moving very slowly. And this little older Chinese gentleman was working with them, and he happened to look up and noticed me, and he asked me to come down. He says, you do. And I said, oh, no, I just want to watch. I was kind of embarrassed to even try. And he goes, oh, no, you do. And I said, no, I just want to watch. And we went back and forth for several minutes. And finally, I was more embarrassed by resisting him. I went down, and at that moment, it changed my life. I truly found out why he wanted me to do it, because you can't get anything from watching. I mean, you have to experience it. And it really changed my life in a number of ways.
So, wow, just out of the back of a university publication, that started all of this for you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then how long did you practice with that gentleman?
Oh, my goodness. I practiced initially with him, probably was up into the 80s where I trained with him. So can't remember exactly how many years, because he moved several years later to Texas, then he went to New Jersey, and then I started going to New Jersey to continue to train with him. So it was many years.
And then that form of training, Glenn, I don't know the right terminology, but is there a discipline or a focus in some martial artists? There's jiu-jitsu, there's karate, there's taekwondo. Is there a discipline or a lineage that his training came out of?
Well, there's different styles of Tai Chi, like the Chen style, Yang style, Wu style, and many other styles. And basically those styles are just family names. It is reported that the Chen family started Tai Chi by a Chinese General Chen Ting, started it for the military. And so it's fighting art from the beginning. And then other individuals studied with, like Yang Lu Chuan, who studied with the Chen family, and then he started the Yang style. And then it went on from the Wu style, came from the Yang style, someone from the Wu style, and on and on. And there's all these different systems. And the only difference is Tai Chi is Tai Chi. The principles stay the same, because the principles are what makes it Tai Chi. The only difference is someone may figure out something that works better for them, and there may be some changes, but the principles are always the same.
Okay, so slowly, but an evolving art as improvements and betterments come. Now, you've been studying now with this gentleman, and there's a point that I imagine that you got to where you either adapted it to your style or you learned a style. You mentioned earlier about Tai Chi Chuan and how you're using it. Where was the evolution of your practice to kind of what brought you forth today, where you teach other protection agencies, other arms of the government, and do private trainings? How did that evolve from your individual practice to what you're doing today?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I studied with a variety of different teachers and also different styles of Tai Chi. and trying to figure out, knowing that this is a martial art and trying to figure out how it actually works. I mean, there's a lot of mystique attached to Tai Chi, and there's no magic there. You know, a lot of people speak of the Chi, the internal energy, and a lot of people say you can knock people out without touching them, and all of these different things. And I did a lot of travel and study from a lot of people. And Tai Chi is physics. It's science. It's all it is. It just comes down to understanding the physics. It's trying to accomplish the most work with the least effort. Tai Chi is based on not meeting force with force, because in most cases, in most systems and styles of fighting, whoever's the strongest and the fastest usually wins. Tai Chi basically states, how can we deal with that? How can we confront someone or deal with someone who's larger and stronger and still come out on top? So physics is the answer. I mean, if you want to lift 10,000 pounds, you're just not going to walk up and grab it and lift it. You're going to use a pulley or some other form of physics. And that's what Tai Chi is. It's basically a system of pulleys and levers. It's a very intricate system of pulleys and levers, but yet it is, and it takes a lot of study and a lot of hard work to understand it and use it.
Now, you've used this to talk a little bit about the application side. You've used this in your various careers. You've taught other, if I remember, other branches of service in law enforcement. So I think what you introduced at first, everyone thinks of is the older people with slow moving, sunset beach pictures as Tai Chi. But if you could share some of the applications where you maybe have trained others or where you've seen it work, because ultimately we'll move up to the specialist defensive training and the internal damage CD. So you've been in Hollywood, you've created DVDs that have gone across the world, and they really show the applications of the self-defense side. And I know that in your personal work, you're also doing the spiritual and the emotional and the health benefits of it. So just to kind of get back to the question, how have you used this in the law enforcement or in your career settings?
Well, I'm a law enforcement instructor. I've also trained the military utilizing Tai Chi. A lot of people seem surprised to hear that when I see it, but most people have some idea of how to use Tai Chi, whether they know it or not. Small children use it all the time. It's if someone comes running towards you, someone who's much larger than you are, and you sort of get out of the way and use their momentum against them to help keep them going. Or if you can imagine someone running away from you and you're chasing them, perhaps, instead of tackling them, you could just shove them. So you just help them go in the direction that they're trying to go, but you just help them a little more than they wanted to, of course, and they use their body. But these are very simplistic explanations just to give an idea on some of the aspects of Tai Chi. I think it's important to discern the difference between Tai Chi and Tai Chi Chuan. The Tai Chi means like supreme ultimate. It's like the universe, the workings of everything, how everything works. Tai Chi Chuan is man's attempt to take the laws of Tai Chi, of the universe, and put them into a fighting art or a usable method. We're actually talking about universal laws incorporated into the way we do things, so that we're not going against, let's just say, the balance of things, the balance of nature. So it's a lot easier to use a current of a river to get to where you want to go to and just navigate using that current than to try to paddle upstream and go against it. So Tai Chi sort of try to use these natural laws that you're not going to win if you fight against them, or it's going to be a very difficult path to follow going against them. So Tai Chi Chuan is our attempt to take these natural laws and use them for our benefit, for whatever, whether it's generally, fighting and so forth, but it could be used in everyday life and, and everything you do.
There was a story you shared with me, and I thought it was comical and it was enlightening. And it's how you convinced some big burly servicemen who thought Tai Chi wasn't an applicable skill set in their livelihoods. If you wouldn't mind, share a little bit about that story, because I thought it was really entertaining.
Well, if it's the story I think you're talking about, I was invited to train a group of Marines in Tai Chi, and when I got there and when they heard what the training was going to be about, they didn't seem too enthusiastic upon hearing that it was Tai Chi combat training. Those two terms people don't usually put together. But I did a lecture explaining, when I teach Tai Chi to people like law enforcement or military or executive protection people, it's not exactly the same method I use when we're in a traditional setting and working with the general public, because they have a more immediate use for it. And so they were very polite and they listened to my lecture and so forth, but by the same notion, I could tell that they weren't believing necessarily that this was going to work with them as, military individuals. So one of the gentlemen raised his hand, and he was a very extremely fit individual, as most of them were, but this guy was exceptionally fit, very tall guy, very muscular guy, very polite individual. Wanted to come up on the stage where I was and says, he has a question for me. Can I demonstrate something for him? And he told me that he studied some martial art at this, I don't remember exactly what it was. So he wanted to know what I would do against a certain move. And he said, would it be all right if he put me in a hold of some sort? And I told him it was. And the hold is, some people may have seen it, where you bring your arm up behind someone else's arm and you trap it, and you sort of, he's bending me back like that. And of course you could snap the arm and so forth. So he was asking what kind of a reaction I would have if against a move like that. So I just told him, I says, well, go ahead and, put me in it, which he did. And I says, well, go ahead and do the move. And he started to do the move, and kind of gently, he didn't want to hurt me. And I said, no, do the move. And so he started doing it again, but still kind of tentative. And I said, no, go ahead and do it. And I could tell he was afraid he was going to break my elbow and snap my shoulder and everything. And he really didn't want to. And I says, well, no, it's okay. You can go ahead and do it. So he went ahead and he put full force between the move, and he ended up flying off the stage, and was very convinced. But he wasn't sure what happened. He said that was really cool. And basically I just explained, there's something called borrowing time. In Tai Chi, we learn to be relaxed, and there's a purpose for relaxing. Had I resisted, he would have broke my arm without a doubt. So we give way and we buy time, which means as he's bending, I just don't let him bend my arm and keep my body here. Everything goes with it. So as everything goes, he's leaning into it, putting more of himself, and I rotate and I strike him in his back, which is a move from Tai Chi called brush knee. And as he's going that way, he got tapped and flung off the stage. Now, it wasn't my great power that threw him off the stage. It was his momentum that he put everything into it, and me getting out of the way and letting my arm relax and go. That's what took him, and that's what Tai Chi is using the attack against the individual, not resisting.
Oh, thank you for sharing. And again, that goes back to your earlier point of it is not about pure physical size or strength in confronting or dealing with the skills that you teach. So Glenn, I know you've shared with me on several occasions, there is the application of the Tai Chi Chuan and the physical side of it, but there's also an ethos or a purpose to it. So explain a little bit more about what that fundamental purpose is of Tai Chi.
Okay, I'll speak a little bit about Master Yang Zhendo. He's the current patriarch of the Yang style family Tai Chi. I believe it was he who made a statement: if you don't understand Tai Chi's purpose or meaning and application, then you're basically just doing calisthenics. You know, just it's just physical movements and activity. In order to, I mean, many people study Tai Chi. The main things that you see are people doing the form, the very slow form, and so forth. And sometimes you'll see two-man set, like in some push hands and so forth. But many people believe that if they just do the form every day, several times a day for many, many years, that they will get all of the benefits to Tai Chi. In Tai Chi classics, there's a saying that says the Chi follows the E. The Chi being the energy, and it follows the E, which is the mind. And that's repeated over and over, but what I think gets lost is that what does the Chi follow? So, I mean, what does the E follow? The mind. And that's purpose. If you don't know why you're doing something, or if there's no purpose to what you're doing, then the mind doesn't really engage, so that the energy, I mean, if I'm standing here with a pen in my hand and I drop a pen on the floor, I have to have the purpose of picking it up. Then everything else follows that. So there's my intent, or my purpose is to reach down and pick the pen up. Then my energy goes towards that, meaning my activity or movement. So if you don't understand the purpose of the movements of what you're doing, they have no real purpose, and the energy doesn't really go there. And furthermore, the body itself, the structure of the body, align itself in a correct method to do it efficiently. And I'll just briefly give an idea of what I'm talking about. If I ask people right now to stand up and do the movement on in Tai Chi, or push, and just get into the posture, not to do it, just stand up and get into that position where you're doing push. Everybody's familiar of seeing push in Tai Chi. That's one of the most basic things. You would stand up, you would put one leg to the rear, one leg to the front, and hold your arms out and push, and you would say, I'm actually doing push. And then if I said, okay, now shake that off, now we're going to do it again. This time, when you do push, I want you to get into the position of push, but now I want you to imagine that there's a wall in front of you, and it's going to crush you, and it's sliding towards you, and you have to hold that wall off. Well, now you're going to lower your stance, you're going to change your structure, you're going to probably incline your upper body a little bit more, put more for, in other words, your body structure itself is going to adapt in order to have an effect on that wall, to stop that wall from sliding in on you. So that's the difference between understanding the usage of something and just going through it in a calisthenic type manner. Every movement in Tai Chi, and if we're talking about the Yang style form, let's say we might be talking about the 108 posture form, there's 108 movements, you have to understand the usage for that in order for your actual structure to adapt and for you to engage your mind. And these are where the benefits come from. If you're not understanding why you're doing what you're doing, then you're not going to get the benefits that you're looking for from it.
That's fascinating, and that makes sense. The intentionality of which you use the practice, and then ultimately the forms to support that, where the intention guides it, it sounds like.
Correct.
I know one of your big, widely recognized works is Internal Damage. It's a DVD that I know has gone international. And if you could kind of lead us through how specialist defensive training started, the internal damage, and then really into what you're doing today, because you do have that large background in law enforcement and in military. But I know today you're working with a lot of individuals and people of all ages and physical levels with your Tai Chi. So how did that story start, and where are you at today?
Oh, and internal damage actually was a collaboration between Specialist Defensive Training, my company, and Ram City Productions, which is a company uh, owned by Ben Ramsey, who is a Hollywood producer, director, etc. And we're very good friends. I've collaborated with him, or I should say, consulted on many of his projects in Hollywood. And he always wanted to do something with Tai Chi. Ben is one of my students and has been for, I believe, since sometime in the 90s. And he was always saying, man, you really got to put some stuff on film so that people can actually see Tai Chi in a different light. So we finally got around to getting together. I believe this may have been in 2005, I think, when we put in internal damage together. And the problem with internal damage, if I could say it was a problem, it did quite nicely. It's been selling all over the world, literally. But one of the problems with it is most people see Tai Chi in a certain light. And when you show people something different, they don't always connect it to being what they're used to. When I did internal damage, I told Ben, I says, look, I can't really put it out there like I like, but I have to put some connection to what I'm doing to how people normally know Tai Chi, which is the form. So there's still a lot of form or recognizableness to the Tai Chi. The goal of Tai Chi is to become formless, to absorb the principles of Tai Chi. Sort of like playing basketball. You learn how to do a layup, you learn how to do a jump shot, once you have those specifics, you're not doing it to those strict specifications the way you were taught. You can take the ball and spin around in the air if you want to do backflip, slam, you can do whatever, but the principles are still there. And that's like what Tai Chi is. You take it and you internalize it, and then you use the concepts and principles of Tai Chi, and not so much the forms of Tai Chi, the postures or the poses of Tai Chi. But if I would do that, it would not have been readily recognizable. So I left a lot of the form into Tai Chi, the execution, so people could see where it was coming from. I felt that I needed to introduce many people to it gradually. So we've been having talks about doing an internal damage too now, because we can move forward and more people understand it now as a martial art. We've done the introduction of internal damage and how to use it. And hopefully in the future, we'll move forward and we can show it in a more broader light.
Okay. And you also have some really interesting videos, good videos available on your website with the information that people can just see. I see you have a lot of videos up there where you're showing just some of the moves and how they interact. In addition to the videos and the online resources you have, what's next for Glenn Hairston here?
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Over the years, I've sort of morphed into different areas and things that I'm interested in. I enjoy helping people. I mean, we're in the midst of this virus thing going on, and I think a lot of people are seeing how important it is to maintain their health, work on their immune systems, and so forth. So over the years, I've been working with people, as I like to say, helping them restore balance to their lives, whatever that may mean, whether that's physical balance, or balance in other ways. The universe is all about balance. It's in a constant state of trying to maintain balance. And so are we. I mean, we're part of the universe. If something is out of balance with you, then that's illness, So if the gut flora in your gut, for instance, when it gets out of balance, it affects, various things in your body. You get sick and so forth. So I've been working with a lot of people with maintaining balance, whether it's because they have weight issues. Been working with many people who have a lot of issues with obesity and so forth. A lot of people who have injuries, arthritis, and helping to give them exercises that they can do, things of nutrition and so forth. But it encompasses a lot of things to do with balance. And of course, Tai Chi does fit in there because Tai Chi is very adaptable. It doesn't matter if you have illnesses. It doesn't matter if you have injuries. It doesn't matter if you're a young, strong, and healthy individual and you like lifting weights and things like that. It's adaptable for any and everyone can utilize it. So I hope to continue to pursue the whole providing people and helping to bring balance to their lives.
Okay. And you're doing that in a lot of different formats. You're doing that one-on-one. I know you've done some online work. You've held small workshops and classes, and we'll include the links to your sites, how people can get in touch with you. The one point I do want to dive into a little bit, because I do know you, Glenn, and what you've done. When you say you can help everyone from different physical levels, you really can. I know when you say there's folks battling obesity or other health conditions, you've turned some people's lives around.
Well, thank you for saying that. But, the way I look at it is it's not really me helping them, it's them helping themselves because they have to do the work, and they have to believe in the fact that they can get better and that they can reach whatever stages they want to reach. I'm just sort of like pointing the way and observing the problem in a way that they can't see it necessarily and saying, hey, okay, here's where I think we need to start. And I just sort of help guide them and continue to give them inspiration and so forth to move forward. So if someone's willing to put in the work and they're having some issues and so forth, I'm definitely willing to be there and help guide them and help them work through their issues.
Well, what I'm envisioning now after you've just said that, Glenn, is you're now the Tai Chi teacher on the gymnasium floor and you're telling everyone else to come off the bleachers and come do too.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I didn't look at it that way, but I think without experiencing something, you can never really know it because experience is the filter through which we see the world. No two people experience the world in the same way. And that's one of the reasons why it's very difficult to have conversations sometimes, and people see things one way and you see things another and so forth and so on. The more experience in life you have, the greater your field of vision is and the greater your understanding of things around you and understanding different individuals and their plight and what they're going through. If you grew up in just one little small place and you never left and you never interacted with different situations and different people, you're going to see the world in one way. Someone who's very traveled and well-read and so forth, they're going to see the world in another way. So I always talk about getting as much of life's experience as you can. You're going to have greater insights, and it's going to do nothing but help you and help you to help others.
So I'm completely in alignment with you on that. The experience just broadens the mind, broadens the soul, and opens the heart. So Glenn, I appreciate the time. I'll leave the notes for everyone who wants to get a hold of you. I wish you the best. And again, thanks for taking the time with me today.
Thank you, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button right now. Stay tuned and check out the channel for other interesting and informative videos.